All right, Liz, do you want to do a little introduction and then I'll get started?
All right, so for those present, most of you know Nat already, but we've also got a lot of people joining via the recording. So a quick introduction. Nat and I have been in business for pretty much a gazillion years, initially with CPD Interactive and now with Vidversity. So we've got a long history together of online learning. We started in law and we're very happy to be not in law anymore. Nat's expertise, Nat's an educator. She's lectured at Melbourne Uni. She's still teaching at TAFE. She's got postgraduate qualifications in IT. And Nat's super passionate about making learning really authentic and relatable for audiences and really accessible for learners as well. And really focusing on that learning experience. I know a lot of people come from the AITD speaker series. So this is the next natural evolution of that, where we've talked a bit about the theory and now we're going to put things into practice and start building video-based learning using your own resources. So Nat, over to you.
Yeah, so for anyone who's been to my last few sessions that I did with AITD, one of the things is I was talking about how to create videos and how to create learning, different design things. This is the next step. What do you do once you've created that? But to recap anyone who wasn't there, or just to make sure everybody's sort of on the same page, I'm going to just sort of take you through a little bit of a summary of what we did, and then we'll focus more on actually we're going to build a course together. Okay, so our sort of philosophy that we have here at Vidversity is we've got something we call the purposeful learning loop. So when we're designing, if someone comes to us and says, so we have a two-pronged process in our business. One is you can buy our software and we'll teach you how to do it, or we sometimes do some consulting as well. So we're always out there seeing what people want. So just at a big picture, and I'm not going to talk too long about this, is our philosophy. Whenever I'm designing or we're designing anything, we're always thinking of this as our process. When we're going to teach someone, we can't just give them information. So the session, what we're going to be training someone on now is we're doing 3 different little training modules today we're going to build. The first one is assuming we've got to teach our staff on the new laws around the right to disconnect. If I just put out information and say this is what the right to disconnect is, it's really hard for learners to understand why they're being given that information. So whenever I'm creating anything, I always have the why at the beginning. Why are you learning this? Why are you even doing this training? And it might be as simple as these are the new rules that we all have to learn. It might be in our organisation to make sure you understand our culture. We're going to give you a little bit of this training. I always think at the beginning of any training there needs to be a why. We then go into, so this is our loop here, we then always go into the next stage that I think about when I'm teaching someone is I've explained the why, now I've got to give them the material. So I've got to give them the knowledge. So we call this explore. That's the theory. So sometimes the reality is that's just content. There's nothing we can do about it. If I'm going to teach someone about the right to disconnect, I've got to teach them what the law is. So I might say here, the reason we're teaching you this is so you understand as a manager, this is what you can expect of your staff. Or if it's for other people, it might be this is what you are entitled to. You don't have to answer a phone call on the weekend. So we do the why. Then we explain what is the law. So we'll say the right to disconnect is this, this, and this. And then the third element is just so often missed in so much training, particularly online training, is get them to apply it. Give them some case studies, make them think, how does that knowledge, connect it to the job? How does that knowledge work in my place? Not generally, not generically, not just around the world. Here where I work, how do I apply that information? So, and this document, everyone's welcome to. I've just done a document that's a whole overview of this process I'm talking to today. And so what I did, and I'm not, if you want to see our previous webinar, we've got a recording of it where I took everyone through the process of where do you even start when you're given the concept. So the first 7 steps I've already done in another webinar, and that's not what today is about, but it's here if you need it. I'm just going to recap. So this is the flow that I do. if I was given the task of building training about the right to disconnect, I might use AI to help me do some research, okay? You may or may not be someone who's interested in using AI, but the tips that I give you is when you are working in AI, make sure that you ask it to do what you want. So I am going to be, I said I wasn't going to show this, but I'm going to share this. If you are working in Copilot, if you are working in ChatGPT, the biggest trick that I'm going to say to you, there's two things to do if you are wanting to do research. The first is you have to write and we know this, we're learning this all the time, you have to write really good prompts. Now, prompts are like if I said to a staff member of mine, find information on the right to disconnect. That's not really enough information. What I would probably say to them is, I'm going to do some management training. It's going to be about 300 people. I want it to be about 20 minutes long. And can you go and find our policy and all information that will help me put that together? So if I'm going to use an AI tool, this is how I go about it. I say, help me write a prompt. I want to create some training on the right to disconnect. ChatGPT, as anyone's heard, doesn't care if you can spell or not, which is my gift.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't know if I can see what you can see with the participants, but is there anyone waiting?
I can't see, Liz, so.
Okay, sorry. Okay, keep going.
I'll come back. No, there's not. I hear a ding, so don't worry. Can you still see my ChatGPT screen? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a big trick. Here's my two big tricks. Help me on the right to disconnect. It is for managers in Victoria and New South Wales. They have had no training in the past, and I want to give high-level training about 30 minutes online. Okay, this is the trick. Just if you're going to use any of these online tools, work really hard on this kind of thing. So it's going to say to me, here's my prompt. I would never have written, every time I do this, I'm shocked at how I probably wouldn't have thought of all this. So here's all, look, this is the prompt it's coming up for me. So, and then it often asks some questions. Would you like me to turn this into a yes, please? Now, the trick, once you get your prompt, okay, so it does all this for me. It's superb. It comes up with, it's amazing instructions to do your research, okay? I'm not going to spend too much time in this. I just get excited about it because I find this really, so, okay, it's going on and on and on. But once you've got your prompt, take it up, just copy it, okay, put it into here. The trick is make sure you always click on the plus sign, whether it's Copilot or whatever, and swap to deep research. Deep research, and we're not going to see the answers because it'll take half an hour or so, is the research you need to make sure you get all your resources, all the citations, everything. Oh, could you please clarify, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, I'm not going to worry about it too much, but make sure when you do your research, don't do the high level research, do really serious research. So the first step when I'm doing anything is I go and do deep research, okay? The second step is I read and verify that research. I make sure all the citations are correct. The next step is I build a document that I call the Centre of Truth. And I start putting all the things that I'm hunting and gathering to collect all this information. And let me show you one that I mean. So I use Google. You can use whatever you want. Everything that I'm building, so here's the right to disconnect, I start dropping into here. So that content that I've just gathered, so I gather information. I'm just collecting it. Might be the policy that I've been given. It might be all the information I start gathering here. Now, my next step is I now get a subject matter to review this. Okay, so I'm starting to gather all my information. So remember, the brief is I've got to build some training around the right to disconnect. I've done some AI research. I've gathered some information from my organisation. I've put it all into a document that is what I call my centre of truth, and then I get a subject matter expert to review it. All right. Do not assume because it's in AI, it's correct. I think we're learning that as human beings, but this is a flow for you to work through. Once you've got that, now I start deciding, I've got all this information, I've got my policies, I know what I'm really going to start to say. How am I going to build it? All right. Am I going to use a traditional authoring tool like something like Rise? So what I did here is I put some of that content into a Rise Articulate. And I put it into here and I dropped my content into here and I start to go, is this really the way I want to teach this? Do you think this is going to be engaging enough for my learners to learn this information? And I'm very, very, very biased, so I say, no, I think it would be better if we had this in a video format. The audience are not going to probably sit there and read all this. Are they really going to understand what the right to disconnect is by reading all this text? Let's see if I can make it into something more digestible. So the next step is I decide. So it's step 5, I've decided Vidversity. So with Vidversity, I am going to make some videos. So the step that I'm at, as I said, I'm just covering this very fast because we've already done this. So I would take my information, I'd make some videos. And the way I did that in the webinar I showed you the other day is I made some slides, I made some voiceovers, and I created a video. Okay, and the video looks like this. So, and this is where we start the session now. Okay, this is where we kick in. So you've made a video, you've made a learning video, and you go, okay, here it is.
Welcome to our session on the right to disconnect. Now, this is a recent legal reform introduced in Australia.
So for anyone who's interested to know, I made that with AI. All right, so that's a little video about what is the right to disconnect. But if we go back to what I was saying at the start, and I hope this is making sense. I'm just trying to catch people up who didn't come to my other session. If we go back to my presentation at the start, when I was talking about the way I think learning needs to be created, I have only built, and this is what I think most people do and often do, I have only built a little video that says what is the right to disconnect. That has not done the why, and it hasn't done any case studies. So now let's go into Vidversity and show you what I did with this. This is where I want to start showing you what Vidversity is. I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to show you where we ended up, and then I'm going to show you how I built it. This is what I ended up delivering in my philosophy of making sure you know the why, the theory, and then the case studies. So this is the end result. Then we're going to build one from scratch. This is the course that was delivered ultimately to the learners. The first video is a welcome video from a human being, not an avatar, not someone who it's not PowerPoints with voiceovers. It's someone in your organisation who has credibility, relatability. Let's have a look.
Hi, it's Natalie Wheeland here. And yes, sadly, you do have to do some more compliance
Can you hear that, Liz?
Yes.
training. But what I want you to know is why you need to do it. So this is around your right to disconnect. So what does that mean?
So I have a welcome video, I have the video I made with AI, and then I have some case studies. So let's go and have a look at the journey of how we built this in Vidversity. So Vidversity is an online platform. It's a cloud-based platform. And basically it assumes you're coming to it with some information. So you're coming to it with you've made some videos and you want to make it into more of a learning experience. So the first thing is you upload a video. The second is you can edit your video. And the third thing is you can create a course. So let's go and explore how we would make a course. So let's assume today we're doing a right to disconnect for managers or something, for our managers. So that's the name of the course, okay? So this is how Vidversity works. And I've now made what we call a course shell. There's nothing in there. Okay. But I now start creating chapters. The whole concept of Vidversity is based around chapters. So let's go create a chapter. I'll go down to right to connect. And here's the 3 videos I've previously made. That's the introduction that I did, which I just recorded myself on Zoom. That's the AI video. And then I've built some little case studies. So let's just put the intro in there. And you click on save. Now inside my introduction, well, let's add 3 chapters, and it's probably not making sense yet. Just bear with me. So I've made 3 videos. One of them is me just saying welcome. The second one is what is the right to disconnect. Let's click on save. And the third one, so I'm adding these things called chapters. And the third one is case studies. And how did I get any of, let's go case studies. Okay. Now let's preview what I've built. So you've had your 5 minutes ago, you had 3 videos on your desktop. You've done your AI research, you've got your policies, you want to deliver some training to your staff, but you know that if you just give them 1 video, they're probably not going to watch the whole thing. So you're trying to think about how can I make this digestible for human beings that it actually changes behaviour. So instead of just putting it out there and wherever, you put it in here, we'll publish it, and we'll have a look at what we've just built. So we have built a world to deliver this to learners, but still we haven't got a lot of information going yet around it. We've just got some videos, so it's just going to take a moment to process. Okay, let's have a look. So now I've got the name of our course is called Right to Disconnect for our managers. That would be whoever's logo you want. I've just got a Zoom recording of me doing a welcome. I always recommend, if you're going to make some online training and you've got a lot of AI, you've got a lot of videos in it, put someone in at the start to explain why to do it, why this training is important. It really helps human beings connect the dots. If you just went straight to what is the right to disconnect, someone doesn't know what that means for them. They're going, I don't really understand why I'm doing this. Have this welcome that it says, the reason you're doing this is because it's an obligation for all managers and you cannot expect your staff to be accountable 24/7. It is actually a law. Bingo, now we're ready to learn about the law. Okay, but this is still lacking any sort of, there's not much more than just the videos. So what else can we do? And this is the philosophy behind Vidversity. The first thing is we've chunked it down. The learner is not expected to just sit and watch 1 video that's 30 minutes long. We're breaking it down into smaller chunks, and we're acknowledging that learners come in at different. So we've got a lot of data around. Sometimes a learner might go to 1 chapter 5 times and the other ones they don't even hit. All right, so learners often will go to the part that they need and they go to it when they need it. But so we're thinking about, if I was the person who was doing this, there's some additional things that would help me understand the information. Okay, so let's go back to here and unpublish. The first thing is, if I'm in an organisation and I actually have a policy to the right to disconnect, I would probably as a learner like to see that. Okay, so under here, so in each chapter we can start adding things to the chapters to make it a more meaningful learning experience. So let's click on add resources and say click to open the policy. And you can upload a document here. So I'm going to go and find my documents. So let's go and find, there's our policy. So it can be a Word document, it can be a PDF, it can be a website, it can be a link to SharePoint, whatever you want. We also have an additional option here. Do you actually want it to stop the video and pop up on the screen, or do you just want it to be in the resource library? We'll put it there. We'll just happily say we want it to pop up on the screen, which has given us a green line that says, and you see across the videos moving and the time is moving, where would you like this video to, this link to pop up? So often I'll say something like, a link is now going to appear for you to see the policy, and then you put the policy there. Another thing that might be nice, often I don't, just arriving at me talking often isn't that meaningful. I might like to put some slides. So we'll start to see there's all different things we can do. So I might like to put some slides at the beginning that explain a bit about who I am, what this course is, what you're about to learn, who the author is, why do I. So there's often people need a little bit more information than just bang, here's a video. They go, I don't even know what you're talking about. So we're putting a few, and these are just PowerPoint slides. You can upload your slides and put them anywhere in the video you want. But I'm going to, if we just see along here, I'm going to have, let's slide them to the beginning. Okay, so they're at the beginning of the course. Now, another thing that I'm very mindful of when I'm teaching something heavy like this is often there'll be lots of acronyms and words and phrases that the learner might not know. So I'm always thinking about building out a glossary. And back at my centre of truth, I have a glossary. So what is the right to disconnect? I start building these. I'm thinking of what are terms that I'm using in this video. So I'll put right to disconnect. So I'm always thinking what is going to help all different kinds of learners. So let's just put that there. Oh, sorry. I'm just.
Now, when you get a sec, a couple of people said they've been trying to get in. So
Okay, I'll just. There's no one there. There's no one there, Liz, so I can't see anything. You can't see the list of people? No. Okay. All right. I'm going to come back and check in with you all in a minute, but I'm wanting you to think when you're building content, don't just think this looks pretty, this is easy to access. Constantly think of things that are going to help the learner. Okay, what's going to help the learner? All right, so I'll do one more thing in reasonable. So if you say reasonable contact is okay, what on earth is reasonable contact? There will be a definition. So make sure all of the things you're thinking of, put terms and phrases in there. So I'll just go back here, Liz. It's not. Okay. So now if we go and have a look, let's go and preview what we've done. We're starting to build out this learning into something a little bit more meaningful. All right. First of all, there's a slide. It's not just me now. There's some information in there to get you going. All right. So instead of it just being a video, I'm starting to think about what things does the learner need to know before they watch that video. And now the video is up and running. Over here, so let's watch a little bit of the video. There we go. It stopped. Remember we added the policy? So it stops and the person can go and look at the policy. Also, you may have noticed over here.
So this found your.
There's two new buttons. Okay, we've got a resource library over here. So anything that we're asking them to look at is available in that resource library. And here's my glossary. I'm building this out and the person can print this. So we're starting to make it a really self-contained course that the person doesn't have to go looking for the policy. It's just over here. Any words that you think are useful, they're just over here. And if I go back to the start, I probably wasn't showing this properly. This is the slides. Okay, the slides are at the beginning of the video. So the person is not having to go straight into the video. They're getting some context. Because one of the things when you're deep in something and you're building it, you start making assumptions. It's called the curse of knowledge. It's the concept that surely people know that it's section 333M of the Fair Work Act. No, they don't. It's just because you've been deep in it for so long, it's so hard to undo that. And I don't know if anyone's looked at that study that Harvard did. It's a study, it's called the tapping study, and they did it with hundreds of people, and it's called the curse of knowledge. And they had people tapping out, and if you ever do this with someone, it's a very interesting experiment. They had people tapping they were given a list of really basic songs like Bar Bar Black Sheep, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Happy Birthday, and they had to just tap the tune on the desk, and the person on the other side had to try and guess what it was. And they were just so frustrated, the tappers, they were called the tappers, they couldn't believe that the person couldn't guess it. And nobody was, it was about 80% couldn't guess it. And it's because it's called the curse of knowledge. They were going, it's so basic, it's happy birthday, you must know it. The same thing is when we're building content. It's very hard to go back to the beginning when you didn't know the information. So constantly build up all the things around it to support the learner, so they're not having to try and work out, what is this even talking about? Okay, so we're back here. So the way we work in Vidversity is you create your videos, you upload them, and then you start thinking about, how can I create or deliver this in a way that is meaningful, and it's going to do the whys, it's going to do the theory, but it's then going to do the application. So the application is the case studies. Right? And then, so we upload the videos, and in each of these chapters, always thinking, what can I do to make this more meaningful? So let me just take you through what you can do. This is the theory section. So this is going to be quite heavy stuff about what is the section that deals with in the Fair Work Act. This is where we might want to add some questions. So we've got the ability to ask all kinds of questions. So we can do true or false, multiple choice, or fill in the blanks. You put in your question here, you give possible options down here, tell them which is the correct one, and you can provide feedback. And we can also use the timer where we'd like that to appear. So I want that to appear at the end of the chapter. So often I'm always thinking, when I'm doing the theory, that would be a good time to get people to think about what they've learned. Just do a knowledge check. Get them, because all I've done is give them some knowledge. So or give them some information. Did they understand it? Let's just go and get. Now, sometimes these questions, you go, they're so easy. It really is just, often these quizzes, they're not, and we do use them a lot in university, they're not an opportunity to really to test at a high level. They're often just a thing to say, when you've watched a 7-minute video of all the laws regarding a right to disconnect, often it's very hard for the brain to filter out which parts are the most important. Which parts do I need to remember? So a quiz is an opportunity for you to tell the learner what is the primary purpose of the right to disconnect. It just says to the brain, oh, that's something I've got to remember from here. Which of the following factors may be considered when determining if after-hours work is reasonable? These are the kind of things that we just, so use the quizzes not as a hard test to see if people fail. It's more of an opportunity to reinforce what are the things that the brain needs to filter out from that learning. Okay, we can add resources, we can add notes, which are pop-ups on the screen, we can add slides and annotations. So that is one type of training you could do. That was what I would call policy training, and it's an opportunity to, if anyone wants my flow chart, if anyone wants my sample document, this is what as I said, I always have a document I call my center of truth. In it, I'm always building out what resources am I going to link to? What are my learning outcomes? What's the research I've gathered on my journey, whether that's AI or internally? What case studies am I ultimately going to have? If I decide I'm going to build a video out of it, I create a script. I use AI to help with a lot of these things. For me, I always have a planner on the go. So this is how we use a Vidversity planner. I will decide that chapter 1 will be called that. These are the resources I'm going to link to. These are the questions, and these are the glossary terms I think are useful for chapter 1. Chapter 2, I'm going to do this. So this is my flow. Anyone I think about, they're my case studies. That's the ultimate glossary I'm building out. These are so while I'm gathering information, I think I really need to link to those websites. So I'd be going back in here and putting these back in the library of my back here, I think. So that's my flow. If anyone ever wants to talk about that flow, more than happy to. But so what I hope the learner has at the end is this incredible self-contained unit. They don't have to jump around an LMS and look at, this can go into an LMS. They don't have to jump around. It's just a one-stop shop. They've got a course. that really becomes a meaningful experience. It's short, it's accessible, it's got someone speaking who hopefully the learner is familiar with. So it might be head of HR, it might be their boss, it might be the CEO talking about the why. You've got some nice, concise information about what they've got to learn, and then we've got some case studies at the end which just go through, and we can have a look at those too if you want. So that's one way that you can use Vidversity. The second way I'm going to show you how to use Vidversity is something like repurposing a webinar. Let's say you've done a webinar like today, or you've been doing webinars in your organisation, and what is one of the problems that happens with webinars is often sometimes people can't turn up, or they'd like to go and see it again, and you say, sure, I'll give you the Zoom recording, I'll give you the Google recording, I'll give you the Teams recording. The reality is most human beings are not going and looking through these recordings. We've just got thousands and thousands of recordings of webinars that hardly anybody's looking at. So one of the flows we often suggest, now remember the flow is you upload your video. So let's assume you've got a recording of your Zoom meeting. The second step is, which we didn't use before because we had these nice short videos, is you can edit your video. Okay, so let me go and find, I did a Zoom webinar a few months ago just for friends at night. Lots of my friends said to me, you know a lot about AI, can you do a webinar on it? Now, in that webinar, they're my friends, a lot of them, so I'm chatting about their kids. I'm having, no one else who watches that after's got any interest in that. So what I do is I upload the video. So here's the video, and it's 21 minutes. And I'm not going to just dump that out there. The first 5 minutes is me talking about, Liz, can you hear me? All of those things interesting to somebody who's looking at the webinar. So I use the editor of Vidversity. And so I go along and I say, actually, I'd like it to start at the beginning. That's fine. And I'll go along and I'll say, I want it to be, the first bit is just an introduction. So I want to mark out. And what that means is I'm going to make a new video of just that green bit, which is from 0 to 13. So let's just call this new intro. And you click on cut and save. And underneath, it's creating a little video of just that part. Keep going along and go, oh, this is where I start talking about Notebook LM. Mark in, mark out, call it something. Cut and save. So what, I'm never cutting the original video. And if anyone has got editing experience and you're looking at this, you go, oh, this is designed to be a very, very, very basic editor. This is designed to do two things. One is to remove parts that you don't want in the video, so you can cut it. The other part is to chunk it into chapters. Okay, and you'll see what happens underneath is these, I made 2 last night just to be prepared, but what I'm doing is I'm breaking this long video down into short videos. Now, once I've done that, I can click in each one and I can say, that's still going, that one, the ones, I can go here. So let's try again, it's here. And let's just go test drive sample. So I just want to clarify what we've done. I've uploaded a webinar recording. I'm now using the Vidversity editor to chunk it into smaller parts. I've done that and it's made 3 little chapters, and now I'm saying I want to create a course. You click on add, click on edit, and you'll see it's automatically made me 3 new chapters. And remember, the way Vidversity works is if you go edit and lock, that means no one else can work in here. Now I click on the little button next to each heading and I can start doing some interesting things to it. Remember, you look at each chapter. So we call every chapter has a video. What can I put inside this chapter to make this a more meaningful experience? So again, I might like a little introduction. Instead of it just being straight to the video, I might like to add some slides. So I go down here. Now, it's just you upload your PowerPoints. So I'll go and grab one. Obviously, I've prepared some slides, but here's a slide. That's an overview. I'll add another slide. So if you think about a few seconds ago, what we had was just a recording of a PowerPoint, recording of a webinar, nothing else. Now we're going to start to make this much more interesting. Where do I want those slides? I want them at the beginning. Okay. What else can I add to here? Do I want to add some questions? I may not. Do I want to add some resources? So you start thinking, and now let's go and have a look back here. Some of the things we can do with this. Under settings, do I want it to be pink? No, the colors of this video, I want to be blue. My client has blue in there here. Do I want the learners to be able to skip the chapters? No. Do I want them to be able to fast forward? Yes, so I'll leave that there. Do I want to have a quiz thing? Yeah. Do I want to track this information? Am I going to track by questions, by chapters? We'll put by questions. What do they have to do to pass? Let's say they've got to get 80%. Am I going to deliver this by SCORM, which means I'm going to put it in a learning management system, or am I going to share to my clients directly through a URL? And am I going to share it just as a link that the whole world can see? Am I going to share it for a link that just people who've been nominated and invited? Or am I going to share it publicly, but everybody has to put their details in? So you start to make some decisions. Let's just go and have a look at what we've done. So what did we do? We had a video. It was a recording of a webinar. We were going to upload that to our learners, but we decided that, you know what? It's probably going to be a bit boring. Look what we've done just by breaking it down into chapters. We've made it a bit more accessible so the learner we've made it blue. We've put some PowerPoints at the front. So here's our why. Why are we learning this? So it doesn't always have to be a video. Think about we're into our video. Again, I might think of a glossary. There's a lot of terms and phrases in the AI world that are really intimidating and making people really frightened in this space. What can we do to make the learner feel more comfortable? Because what we're trying to do is create a self-contained learning unit that they don't have to ask us a million questions. We're trying to make that a bit more it survives on its own. Okay, so whenever we're building something, we're thinking, what can I do to make it? If we go back to my theory that I always think at the start, we're trying to make sure we have the why, the explore, and the apply. We want the application side of things. Okay, how's everyone going? Still with me?
Sorry. Yes.
Is this
Yes.
making sense?
Yes.
I know I talk a lot, and it's a lot, but I'm really, I feel quite strongly that we shouldn't do things just because the technology. We should think about this is what I'd like to do, and then make the technology work for us. So I think I'm trying to get people think. I have a real problem with a lot of online learning is very knowledge heavy, but doesn't have that real embedded learning of how do I do that in my job? How do I apply this when I go away from this training? What if I want to read the policy? Where is it? Have it all there with you. Think about you because as I say, it's really hard. This curse of knowledge makes things really hard when you build content. You just make assumptions. So what I tend to do is I strip back the actual content to, I make that really, for anyone who's experienced to not experienced, it's just enough. But for anyone who needs more, have all the assets around them. Because most of us want the short chart, tell me what it is. But if I need more, make it easy to find. Make it easy that it's all around me. I just think that is such I think I've just done, so I work for a number of organisations, and I've just done so much compliance training. And one of them the other day, it took me 5 hours to do all their training, the manual handling, how to lift a box, or who wants to spend 5 hours on that stuff? I really needed to know what I need to know for my job. Like I am at a university as an adjunct professor, and I was being asked questions on a forklift. That's generic training off the shelf that instantly makes me as a human being annoyed. It just makes me annoyed. I'm just frustrated by that. So, and it happens to lots of places. We just throw everything in. I always think that what makes a great teacher is the same. I've used this analogy for years. It's the same as someone who's good at packing on a holiday. It's very easy to put everything in your suitcase. It's very hard to just put in what you need. So as teachers and educators, we curate that information and we try and make it accessible, meaningful, and link it to their job. But there are people who need more. There are people who if you're, what's his name? Boris Johnson, you don't know how to say AI. You say, I don't know if you saw that video the other day. He said it all wrong. There are people who don't know what the acronyms mean. We need to support that. That's fine. I don't want people to feel like a fool when they arrive at induction training and there's nothing worse than arriving in a new job and people start saying you just need to fill in the A2C and get a 416. And if you don't know what that is, you immediately feel alienated and you feel uncomfortable. So what you need to do in your training is have the video saying, okay, as part of your the very first thing is you're going to have to fill out a payroll AC2 form. You can find one of those in the resource button. You know, make it easy for humans to be able to move through that content. Okay, so that is the most important thing when we're training. We must not just go, this is easy to make, I cut and paste, I put it into a tool and I've delivered it, it's in an LMS and I tick a box. That is not education. That is just ticking a box. There is an opportunity with this digital world to make great training. We don't just have to use the templates we're used to. Just because in the past it's been a million slides with a next button and a quiz does not mean that's the way to do it. So I'll show you one more and then we're done. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the concept of, let's go here. Another one is video is great for learning or teaching people how to do something when they need to see it. So if I was going to teach you how to lift someone out of a bed, or if I'm going to teach you how to use a piece of equipment or a piece of software, the easiest way is to show. So if it's a payroll piece of website and you want someone, software, you want someone to be able to use that, we need to have a screen capture of showing them. The one I'm going to show you is a manual handling one. It's my mum who's here at the moment. So she thinks she's the actress. She's very impressed that she's famous. But we were recently working with an aged care facility and they wanted to teach people how to get in and out of the bed, how to use the hoist. And they didn't have a high budget and they also don't have a videographer, which is very common. And I said, that's okay. And you can use your phone, okay? So the way Vidversity works is we have an app. So if you film with your phone, you can just upload it to here. And I'll show you the course. I uploaded the video and I'll show you the course that I created called Manual Handling. And it's just a reminder. So this is manual handling, transferring someone from a bed to a chair, lifting lifting heavy items. Okay, so let's go. Oh, that one's not it. Let me go back and find it. So I'll see if I can find, just bear with me. It's okay. So these are the two videos I made and I'm going to make a course out of these. So they are called Lifting a Box. So let's go and create a course and I'll show you. I just filmed these with my phone. So let's go lifting a box. It's just a reminder, there is a lot you can do in this world with the power of video. Okay, so think about if your task was to teach someone how to lift a box or how to get somebody out of a car. Really hard to do with words, really, really simple. Let's go here, moving someone out of a car. And I'll do another one. I'll add another chapter. I just filmed these a couple of days ago just to show you guys. So let's go. And then fancied them up a bit with a bit of, let's publish this. Obviously they're not great, the names. I'd change all the titles. I'd add a whole lot to it, but let's go and have a look.
No sound, but we get the idea.
I don't know why there's no sound, because I'm very impressed with the sound because I wanted to show you that it's a voiceover. Let me just go and find it. It's a voiceover but it's AI. I wanted people to, so let's just try again. Here we go, because I'm just blown away that this is AI.
To move the person out of the car with a handy bar.
Can you hear that now, Liz?
1.
Yeah.
Prepare the area. Ensure the car door is fully open and the handy bar is securely attached. Clear any obstacles around the car. 2. Position for exit. Help the person rotate their body so their legs swing out of the car. Guide them until their feet are flat on the ground. 3. Assist with standing. Have them grasp the handy bar firmly.
That's filmed with my phone this morning. Just added a voiceover using a voice cloning tool called PlayHT. Uploaded it. Look at that. That is the greatest way. Now, that could be so overcomplicated if you got too bogged down, but I just think we've got the equipment now. We've got a phone, and you can see I just used a bit of an offline editor there to stop it because I didn't have enough footage and I wanted to stop and hone in on things. That all took me about 20 minutes, and I had a video ready to go on showing how to do those couple of things. Now, obviously, I have a lot of skills around this because I do it all the time. But I just want, I feel like I hope that I just want to give people the confidence to even get on the phone and say to me, can you show me how to do that? You know, it doesn't have to be for Vidversity, but generally, I just think there's a lot we can do. And a lot of us feel very stuck. Lots of people I talk to go, but I don't know how to do the online stuff. And I say, stop the technology, think about what would you like to do, and then think about what technology can help you through there. So I hope that's given you a sense of what Vidversity does. It's an online platform. We can deliver the content in a number of ways. You can put it into your learning management system. You can have a portal for your learners to go and access the information, and you can then get some analytics and data. Yeah. So if you want that flow that I did, which is just my flow of how I often build courses, just let me know. Just put yes in the chat and I'll send you that. But and we're also, just for anyone who knows, and Liz will take you through, we're offering a bit of a special at the moment that we've got a package. We'll build one course for you and give you there's the landing page there. So for anyone who's watching but not live, just email us liz@vidversity.com and you can get that handout if you want. And if anyone's interested in, we've got a bit of a package, we'll send out that landing page. We'll build a course for you and give you a subscription for a year for, I can't remember the price, but so if you wanted a policy or some course built, we'll do the whole thing for you. What we always try and do with those things is, and I think it was $180 a month, is that right, Liz, for the year, and you get access to the platform so you can build as many courses as you want, but we'll build one for you, which we usually charge about $2,000 for, so you're getting the course free. And the advantage, usually what I do with people, if somebody says, I want you to build a course, I say, can I take you on the journey with me and teach you how I'm doing it? So I try and skill you up. I'm a big fan of saying, can I teach you how to fish? So that is what we wanted to cover today. As I promised, we always finish early. I know I go very fast. I know it looks like I'm doing, people go, oh, you look like a ninja while you're doing it. I know that. I know that, because you've got to remember, I built the software. So if I can't do it, no one will be able to. It's very easy. The process is, you upload a video, you edit the video, and then you create a course. So Vidversity is the software between the video and the learner. It takes the video from just being a video into a proper learning asset. Because so many people go, I made a video, and they just dump it on the LMS or send it out. No one knows what to do with it. You haven't got a why, you haven't got a welcome, you haven't got links to things, you're not quizzing them, you're not making it a meaningful learning experience. So I hope you found that useful. And always reach out if you've got any questions, and if anyone is interested in a trial or would like to know a little bit more information, please reach out.